Hello again and welcome everyone. I am his most awesomest KnightTrain casting a duel between the players here. And with me, as always, is my BFF.
FFFFF.
FFFFF.
The Robo so nice they named him twice. DoubleRobo here, casting on. I forgot the map name.
Odyssey. ESL
Odyssey. That's right. ESL Odyssey. Sorry, this is a map that KnightTrain and I have not done yet. So all apologies going out to map makers and ESL together. We're going to start with the orange Terran on the left side of the map, BeastyQt. I like that name.
I do too.
And on the right side of the map, we have the purple Zerg, Brain. Just as a note, the replay credited MoMan as Brain, so I assume that a lot of players enter tournaments under either a Smurf title or they picked their player name after they had already made an account. So we're going to call him Brain for consistency of the cast. That's kind of what KnightTrain and I like to do, so that the names at the top show up as the same player. But just know that Brain is most likely MoMan the Zerg from Europe.
Right. So, yeah, this is Odyssey, ESL Odyssey. Yeah, this is actually a map that neither DoubleRobo and I had ever really seen before. Worth noting, this natural kind of tucked away very nicely. There's no ramp into the natural, so to speak, but there's a nice little ramp here into the main. What we were talking about just a little bit earlier as we were looking at this is as you kind of follow the progression of bases here would be the third for the Terran, here would be the fourth for the Terran, the third for the Zerg, that kind of thing. You're expanding closer to your opponent, which is something that Terran, they can build planetaries and things like that, they're pretty okay with. Zerg, on the other hand, doesn't generally like expanding close to Terran. That being said, the rush distance is pretty long, and these towers, worth noting, are on the low ground as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically choosing between either expanding. Oh, we see two barracks coming down from Beastie early on, so he might be looking to do some aggression with that. But you're either expanding closer to your opponent or really far away from your base. I was telling KnightTrain before the cast, one thing we might see the Zerg do is take this third base here that's to the south of his base, and then maybe also take this gold at the same time or close to it, so that the Terran has to pick one to attack. That would kind of avoid them from having to take the fourth really close to the Terran that can be sieged up pretty easily.
Oh,
but
that drone is actually going to come up here, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but the drone's going to come up here and see the two barracks. Oh, it actually gets in the base as well.
Yeah, that's actually really good information for Brain here. So he put down the hatch first, but his pool is coming up right now, so he's going to be on the lookout for an SCV trying to stop that bunker from coming down.
Right.
And yeah, he's pulling down plenty of drones. He's going to be okay.
Oh, catches the SCV! Oh! He does
really
have another one
there.
coming in, but that's going to make this bunker rush even harder.
Yeah, really good move coming in there. BC's sending in, he's sending a lot of Marines with this. I don't know if he's going all in necessarily, but he's pretty serious about it. And a lot of drones coming out now. He has those two bunkers, but they're going to stop one already. I think this is already done for BC. He's not going to do anything with this.
Yeah, I mean, if we were to talk super technically, he probably overpulled drones there. He could have gotten the same result without that many drones. He didn't make a whole lot of lings either, so I was a little concerned. However, that being said, yeah, he shut that down pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to take the approach that it's better to pull too many drones and not lose than it is to not pull enough and then lose. You're going to end up pulling them anyway if you're going to lose. So I feel like, it may not have been the most economic choice, but he's got his expansion up. He knows exactly what the Terran's doing because he's building this command center in the view of his gas. So in a pretty good shape here is Brain.
Yeah, no, that was, I mean, and that's really nitpicky. Obviously, he's fine. He is a little bit, he kind of wants to start getting up in supply. He's a little bit behind, but that's really okay. He's actually in pretty good shape, and we do have a kind of fair amount of Marines here still moving out. The Spine Crawler and these Zerglings will kind of keep those at bay. Though, it is worth noting, now that gas is gone, Beastie could have done something clever like canceling the, command center and going for an all-in kind of thing. Brain doesn't really know, but I think he feels pretty safe at this point. Does throw down another Spine Crawler, probably expecting maybe Hellions to come out of this, that kind of thing.
Yeah, Hellion expand is the more common move for Terran, so it's kind of odd to see 4 barracks going down here and no factory yet. But
the queen up there.
Yeah, this queen's in a good spot, and since they changed vision, he's either going to need to scan or try to run up there. But these spine crawlers are going to make it a little tough, and I think the right choice is just going to be to turn around.
Right. Well, I mean, we do see a lot of Marines are still rallied out here on the field. There's no bunkers going down. It's a little late for that kind of thing. The spine crawlers getting a chance to reposition to really defend that ramp there. And I think Beastie is really just kind of sitting here, more or less, just to keep some pressure on. You know, any Zerglings you can get a Zerg to make is not drones, and that's really what he's looking for. I think he maybe feels like his bunker pressure was a fair amount of investment that didn't really pay off, so maybe he's thinking, oh, if I can get in there, you know, force a couple Zerglings, maybe snipe a spine crawler or two, that'll kind of make up for it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a great point, that you do damage to Zerg by simply putting pressure on them. Anytime they have to make units, you're essentially doing damage. So some of the smartest pushes against Zerg are where you make them really afraid and you push halfway across the map and then just straight up turn home.
Right.
And so, you know, Beastie, it doesn't really matter whether he engages with this or not. You know, Baneling Nest is just started now. Zergling Speed is not finished, so he may actually be able to do some damage with this.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you were to go in there
and
now...
10 more Lings on the way,
yeah,
by the way.
Or if he had maybe gone in a little bit earlier, he certainly could have done a lot of damage. He's got combat shields and stim coming out, but they are very far away. That queen scuttling away for her life.
16 Lings on the way now.
These Marines moving in. They're in a pretty good position, getting some good damage done on those Zerglings, and he did manage to take out one spine crawler. However, Brain, as soon as he gets that Baneling Nest, this push is going to end very, very quickly. Without Stim, one Marauder coming down to tank a little damage, do some damage to Queens, but without Stim, splitting against Banelings is going to be very, very difficult, especially on the creep here.
Yeah, and 20 more Lings on the way now. So, you know, Brain is making a lot of units with this. He's really going to have to attack.
Oh, here they go. Getting a pretty good surround, though. Combat Shields is done, but Stim is not. These Marines are definitely going to get cleaned up and pretty efficiently there. That's still
really good
quite
catch
a few Lings. Oh, and he's going to get the reinforcements, too, as well.
Yeah, really good catch there, moving out with speed right when it finished. And Beastie was not ready for that at all.
No, he does not have nearly enough to take on this many Zerglings, especially, there we go, when they morph into Banelings. A lot of SCVs being pulled right now. He knows he's in really, really big trouble. He tried to get a bunker down, realized he didn't have enough time. He's going to try now, probably a little bit futilely. He really needs Hellions out, but he's too far away for that. This is going to get really, really ugly really fast.
Man, morphing the Banelings right in front of his face. He's coming in. He's going to be able to attack these SCVs here. And he's got so many with those Banelings. So much damage there.
Ouch.
And he's going to be able to kill a lot of SCVs with this.
Oh, yeah, and he doesn't manage to get the supply debuff either. That means these Banelings are just going to barrel their way through here. Didn't even have to waste a couple killing the supply debuffs. And the SCVs coming as well. Oh, Banelings just melting everything. I don't think Beastie has any real savior for this. That last mainly cleaning up. The barracks on fire, the factory on fire, the orbital has been lifted. This is a really, really bad shape, and there is the GG.
Yeah, that is GG. Yeah, that was just really, really well played by the Zerg there. He saw great timing. He actually had slow speed, so I think Beastie was expecting him to be going for mutas or something else fast with his gas. So he was like, you don't have speed yet? That's really weird. And he was just kind of planting those Marines and Marauders out there. And the second speed finished, Braid just moved out, and Beastie wasn't watching his minimap, and he just got completely surrounded.
Right. Well, I mean, we were talking about how, you know, stationing all these Marines out here was putting pressure and forcing, you know, Zerglings, you know, from Brain, so he didn't get, you know, attacked or anything like that. However, I was going to say, as we were talking about that before the attack happened, that sometimes this can have a very backwards effect where, you know, the Zerg goes, well, at this point, I've made so many units, I'm more or less not necessarily all in at this point. But he's like, well, it's really a good time for me to attack, and that's exactly what happened. I think Brain just kind of realized, well, now that my Baneling Nest is out, all he's got is bio. I'm just going to roll right into it, and it turned out, you know, he had far more Zerglings than he needed to take out that army, and at that point, he's like, well, I think I'm just going to roll in and, you know, like, kill him and stuff.
Yeah, that was just great decision making by the Zerg, and you're right. You always have to kind of walk that line pretty carefully when you pressure a Zerg like that. You know, the same thing happens sometimes. You see Terrans move out with like 1 or 2 siege tanks and try to put on a quick contain and a little bit of pressure. But if you're not careful, then the Zerg can overmake Lings and realize, well, I don't really have a choice but to attack here. and they can do a lot of damage with it if you're not ready.
Right, right. And the big thing that, Marine Ball was also going to do is put pressure on the third. So, Brain realizing, it was going to be very, very hard to successfully take a third with that army out there. I mean, yeah, he could have snuck a drone down here, but, that would really suck to have all those Marines kind of walk down there. And there is a ramp, other ramp into the third this way, so he could just wander down here, snipe it, and then run back to that position without necessarily having to cross the creep there. So I think, yeah, exactly that. Brain was like, well, I have made probably too many Zerglings. There doesn't appear to be that many Marines. Let's just go kill the Terran.
Yeah, that was a really good point. And unfortunately, that contain really backfired there for him. I think if he would have had 1 or 2 siege tanks at home,
oh yeah,
he would have been able to hold that off really easily. But he went a little too heavy on the Marines and Marauders, making that 4th barracks instead of making 3 barracks in a factory, and really just kind of walled himself in there, so to speak.
Right, and even a couple Hellions would have done the job, to be frank. So, all right, very good game by both these players. Let's move on to game 2.